Hi everyone, I'm Crystal and welcome back to the Freedom Founders podcast. We've got Linda Howe, founder of YESAH, in the studio today, and she'll be sharing with us how she's evolving as a businesswoman and the ups and downs she's had on her creative journey.
I'm turning dreams into reality.
Welcome to the Freedom Founders podcast, Linda. Very excited to have you in the studio. For
Thank
our
you.
listeners and viewers who haven't met you before, can you give us a quick introduction about who you are and what you do?
So my name is Linda Howe, and first thank you for having me here.
Thank you for being
So
here.
I have actually started my own label in 2012. So I am a designer and founder of YESAH, my own brand. And at the same time, I'm also a freelance DJ. So I play mainly for private events. And also, currently, I am learning yoga. So I'm becoming an aspiring yoga teacher.
Wow.
Yes, that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think maybe just for a bit of context why we invited you here is because, this whole series, Freedom Founders, is about entrepreneurs. And this episode is about how you've evolved as an
Yes.
entrepreneur.
Yes.
The reason why we're doing this is because you've also described yourself as not just an entrepreneur. So
Yeah.
maybe you can elaborate a little bit more about, how you identify yourself.
Yeah, I think I find it a twitch when people call me an entrepreneur, mainly because I am a very passionate person and I grew up in a pretty creative environment. So I always thought of myself as an artist or a multi-hyphenate artist in that sense. So when I started my own business and people start telling me, oh, you're an entrepreneur, and that made me felt a little bit doubtful about myself because
Because you
maybe
didn't see yourself as
yeah, and I honestly didn't have any business background. So I find it very shy to say that I'm an entrepreneur because I'm not good with numbers. If you group me with a bunch of entrepreneurs together, I think I'm probably the lousiest at the business aspect. But in terms of creation, yeah, sure, I love to start something on my own. I love
And
to
just-
create passion projects for myself. It's just pure, genuine, this creative energy will come out of me and I know I want to start something or I want to do something. And in this modern society, that's what they label you as, which is entrepreneur. So I guess I am, but at the same time, I am not.
Not in the traditional sense.
Yes,
Not in the
yes.
traditional sense.
Yes, that's
so
right.
Maybe you can talk us a little bit about how you got started with the label YESAH. I mean, for me as well, the first time we met, I kind of got to know you in the fashion industry
Yeah.
setting. So
Yeah.
how did you even get started into fashion? Personal, family background?
It's quite a long story, but to summarize, I grew up in an environment because my parents actually had a bridal business since young. So I literally grew up in that kind of environment, in the factory, looking at textiles, looking at pretty garments, dresses, and watching all the workers who were seamstress making dresses. So it was like a very natural environment for me to be with colors, fabrics, textures. And since young, I have been in the kitchen a lot as well, helping my grandmother a lot. So I've always grew up as a very hands-on kind of person. So when I grew up thinking what my ambition was, at that point of time, I just think there's nothing else I can do. I mean,
You knew you were gonna be
I
a-
know I have to be a fashion designer because everyone looks up to me in that way. When in my family, I'm like the default stylist. So I just knew that, okay, I'm gonna try that first then. If everyone is, they look at me like, yeah, you must do this, So
it seemed very clear because
Yeah.
that's how you were kind of not groomed, but what you were exposed to as well. In your
yes,
environment.
and I already had so much experience, way more than my level students at that time in Temasek Poly, because I already learned to sew way before I started school. So to me, it was an advantage, and that's why I took that advantage to go once I graduated, why not I just start my own label? And the idea actually sparked off during my graduation trip in Bali with one of my really close girlfriend. It was really I don't know, this calling that came to me at night. I just couldn't sleep, and I just thought of the name YESAH, because that is who I am. I'm always about yes. I always say yes to things. When there's difficulty, I will try to find alternative solutions to solve that problem. So I've always been this very positive and all about like saying yes to life, basically. So I thought, yes, that's exactly what I'm gonna do once I head back to Singapore. And there it is. I didn't take any other breaks. I didn't go further education. I just went straight to register a business.
What was the reality check when that happened? Like,
I have to say, like, it was a real roller coaster ride. Like, it really went so fast and high that I at one point, I know that I underestimated myself, in a sense that not myself, the whole process of actually starting a business, because I have no clues. Like, I was just winging it all the time, using my confidence to strive at every difficulty. And even though I met challenges, I just go the hard way by learning how to fail and making mistakes, being scolded all the time, getting a lot of advice from the people around me who had prior experience and more experience than me. So yeah, I know I didn't know much, but I actually had a lot of advice, and I am thankful for that. Everyone around me was pretty much very helpful with giving me the advice, and supportive. So I think everyone saw that even though I'm not actually doing a very good job at being the entrepreneur, but I guess the fire in me was the thing that was just pushing my brand to another level.
Yep.
And
to have that fire and passion to just pursue something.
Yes.
You mentioned, I think a really good point you mentioned is that you realized that, or you underestimated not yourself but that process, right? And you were getting all of this advice and feedback to anyone, so from different people. What would you say was the biggest maybe myth or thing that you wish you knew when you went in, or like on hindsight, if you could say, I would have done this, maybe one thing or two things you would have done different?
Okay, I really have a few things.
Okay.
Of course,
Tell
I think
us,
about
tell
it.
us.
So, first of all, is I have always have this very stubborn attitude. So if I have an idea, I will make sure I make it happen. And that's my stubbornness when it comes to creating anything. And I would say, as an artist, especially at that age, being a designer, I was very idealistic. I didn't want to do anything that maybe changes a little bit of my initial plan. I couldn't even compromise just a little bit, because
So you had this sole focus, I'm going to make this
I'm
happen.
so focused. If I want this, I want this. So now, of course, when I look back, I would have thought like, yeah, that's me being too naive and too young, you know, like sometimes in life you just gotta let go a little bit and compromise, so you get a bigger picture, a bigger result. And for me, of course, I was on my losing end because I didn't have a business partner then, and even now, no, I don't. So I didn't have anyone to actually help me out when it comes to this kind of logical, practical thinking. Because I have a creative mind. My mind doesn't work in a way that, let's say, an accountant would do, you know. So if I had the chance to go back, of course, I would definitely make sure that I find this suitable partner who will actually complement me to become a good team.
That's a really, basically, or even if it's not having that additional partner, but internally developing the skills that you knew you
exactly,
would
the
need.
knowledge, the information, or even going on courses myself, or just
To
cutting
learn.
out a bit of my idealistic side.
Yeah,
that
to
would be
just-
great as well.
I think,
Yeah.
and the funny thing and the scary thing is that if you don't go through that process of being an entrepreneur, and like you said, be willing to say yes and trying and failing, you wouldn't know what was missing, right? You wouldn't know what
of
you would have
course.
needed to do in that process.
Yeah.
Okay, so in terms of how, YESAH went through up, down, lots of roller coasters. In terms of key learnings for you and where you think YESAH is now, how has that shaped your evolution on a personal level and on a professional level? And I'm guessing that happened from the outside. Like, was it just changes in customer needs, or is it also something that happened on a deeper level?
It's a lot of change, I have to say. I think first, for personal growth. What I find most rewarding now after having overcome so much obstacles and challenges, I learned so much about patience, even just for me as a person, because like I said, I used to be quite stubborn and idealistic, and I might have made a lot of impulsive choices in life that everyone told me about.
Okay.
But
and
now
you were like, actually, that was a valid comment.
Yes, so after so many years of all this, like struggling, succeeding, failing, I think the best thing I got out is that I am now patient, or at least trying to be, because I didn't care about having patience at all. I just wanted what I want. I just went, full head on. But now I really know how to take my pace and do what that is suitable at certain timing. You gotta have a time for everything.
Yeah.
So you can't have everything in one shot. And right now, the way that I'm working is very much in this kind of philosophy, which is a lot more on waiting, training, practicing, and then release.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Waiting,
maybe I used to be more like just run, hit target, home run. But now I'm really a lot more patient. I will wait for the best chance to occur, and then I'll take my action.
So how has that sounds like a massive internal shift for you to have that, I guess we can call it this aha moment, right? And how has this new philosophy shaped YESAH? I mean, is YESAH still operating at the moment, or have you completely revolutionized the Linda Howe brand? Tell us.
So this is the very interesting part. It also links back to a lot about being an entrepreneur. Because if I were to tell someone that, I actually just need to, think about my life at the moment and close my business for 2 years, everyone's gonna think I'm mad, which I was. So I literally took a pause because at that point, like you said, the aha moment, it was also during a moment when I really got very deep into the whole manufacturing side of the business and literally physically watching and witnessing how productions actually run. And after finding out about everything, the truth, and the ugly things behind like any fashion brands, I just find myself in a pretty lost and mixed place, which is why I actually just decided to take a break. And that's when I actually dive into yoga, which really saved my life, because it helped me with my own mental wellness.
Yes.
And also because of that, I took YESAH not just as a business. I don't see YESAH as a business anymore. It's basically just a brand that kind of represents my creative personality.
Okay.
It's my own creative identity. So it can always evolve, because at one point
You
I
are
was a
always
little bit
evolving.
stuck.
Yeah.
But I was stuck as well. So the truth was I was quite afraid to restart. I didn't dare to just continue something that everyone knew that was already like not going somewhere.
Yeah. I feel like when it comes to, and not just for entrepreneurs or people who run a business, right? I feel like there is a lot of stigma, negative stigma, with the reset button.
Yeah, it's so hard.
It's like, what do you mean you're gonna put your business on hold, or what do you mean you're gonna like throw everything away? Like you should persevere, and that's also the message, like persevere. But I think being able to pause, reflect, take a step back sometimes, and reassess where you are is also important in that entrepreneurship.
It's
or business
definitely
journey.
it has been very important for me that I actually took the step back, because now I am very happy to say I'm restarting YESAH again, but it's in another direction altogether, because I believe that having skill sets is something that's very valuable, especially skill sets that's been passed down from like your older generations.
Yes.
And now that we come into this tech-savvy world, all these skill sets are going to be lost anytime. Now that we are speaking, it's really losing. So when I think about what I want to contribute to society, or how I wish to inspire people in future, I just thought that the only way is to share with people. So instead of just looking at YESAH as like a fashion brand, I design pretty clothes, no, I don't want to design pretty clothes to sell to people anymore, because there's enough clothes out here in the world right now. And if I have the skills to share with people, why not? I want to sell my skills instead. So this is something that I'm planning on doing, and I'm preparing a lot this year. So it's going to be totally different. It's no longer just YESAH as a clothing brand. It's actually going to be YESAH Studio, because this is the space that I work in, and now I'm confident to let people into my world and share with people the skills that I have that hopefully can also inspire them, or just spark something in them. That's it. That's all I actually hope for.
For them to pursue their own passion. What could a guest or visitor at YESAH Studio expect or look forward to? So it sounds like there's yoga. I'm guessing there's yoga.
So that's for the future leg. For now, because I'm still running a one-man show.
Okay.
Everything, like I said, now I'm planning everything a little bit slower pace. So this YESAH Studio open house, it will kick off with the first edition of a sewing workshop.
Okay.
So it's going to be private, just 2-person workshop, one-on-one, where I will dedicate my whole 4 hours just to guide you, instruct you, show you and teach you all about fabrications, how to take your body measurements, what is a properly made garment. It's a lot of educating the people, actually, because I want people to know what goes behind every piece of clothing that you wear. It's not just something you pay from the store. There's a human actually working on this fabric.
And the entire process from start to finish.
Yeah, and it's not so easy. It actually requires a lot of concentration. But that is the good point, which I'm really happy to do this, because to me, sewing is actually almost like art therapy. It's very therapeutic process. So when you focus on a single stitch or on the machine, you are actually using all parts of your body, your mind connecting to your hands, to your feet. So it's an all full body experience.
Yeah.
And I hope that this kind of workshop can be experienced for people to actually give their thinking brain a break.
Right.
Because people now are just thinking too much, they're losing a bit of their senses. And hopefully with my session of such workshop, it can actually bring up this wave of people paying
more in touch.
Yeah, more in touch with their own hands-on skills.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, I'm familiar with the brand YESAH, and I like that you've taken it to the next. So you as an individual, as a person, as a professional, you've evolved. That's now being reflected in your brand. I think the last time we met, you came in with a tote bag that was formerly a piece of clothing that had been.
Yeah, actually, I carried it today.
Yeah, that's the bag. So this was actually a former garment, right?
Yeah.
This was a former garment, and it's got a new lease on life. It's evolved itself, just like you.
So even for this bag, this is something else that I'm working on, which during the time at the lowest of YESAH, I had a lot of dead stocks, to be honest. And when I look at dead stocks, I just think it's so sad that...
You mean merchandise you can't sell?
Merchandise that you can't sell. And it's not just my brand, of course, because I experienced, so I use my brand as an example. But when I look around me, and I have a lot of friends in business as well, and I often ask them questions. What do you do about all these things? The trend happens so fast. It changes every week. It's just scary, the amount of clothes that's being piled up. And then it goes back onto our land as trash. So to me, that is like the most eye-opening fact that I found out
that it's not
in
sustainable.
My profession. Yes, that is so not sustainable. And when I was thinking about how I can actually, revive YESAH clothing, I just thought the best way is to deconstruct and recreate pieces that is just timeless. It doesn't need to be on the body. It can be homeware. So I'm actually making a whole new collection that is sustainable items for your home, which I'm calling it homeware. So it's all lifestyle items like cushion cover, table mat,
and that's all made from
my clothing. Yes, from my garments, and it's all brand new clothing. So to me, I find it almost emotional to be doing this collection, because I'm making everything handmade. So I'm actually really working piece by piece, going back to that old school method, and
of
slow.
Deconstructing, you said deconstructing
Yes.
and recreating.
Yes,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. It sounds like you're finding a pretty good balance between balancing what the market would need. Like for example, people are interested in more homeware stuff, not just clothes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are able to pursue your creative passions and your interests.
Yeah.
How though? Because I would say I'm an okay creative person. I'm not super creative, but I imagine that creativity needs to operate within a space that is free, right? Freedom.
Yes.
But at the same time, being a businesswoman, entrepreneur, multi-hyphenate DJ, whatever it is you want to, call yourself, you need to be disciplined as well.
Yes.
Because to do all of that stuff,
Yeah.
you have to have discipline. How do you balance creativity and discipline? Do you think that they are linked?
I
Are
think
they
for me,
separate?
I have to take a lot of time to think because, like I say, I'm not naturally good with numbers. So for me, whenever I finish my creative thinking, I will spend time to do the logical thinking. And it's especially tough for me because I'm not that good at it. So I actually would consult my boyfriend who's good with numbers and my family members, just asking quick questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Or would you pay this for this? Or how much would you pay for this? So I
making
ask
time.
questions.
Yeah.
Making time. I have to make time because I used to just make time only for creation. I just design a lot of clothes, join fashion shows. There's nothing businessy involved. But now that I want to make sure that, this is a second lap that I'm taking. So definitely I want to learn from my past mistakes. And at the same time, like you said, how do you balance this? I think it's very important to know what you need to, what is your own lifestyle? How much do you need to sustain your lifestyle? And
are we talking about, to be blunt, we're talking about money. the
yeah,
kind of quality
financial,
of life.
yes. Because at the end of the day, how much you earn will be sufficient to how much you spend, right? So I ask myself, if I'm doing this, I might only earn this. So will this be enough to live?
Yeah.
And
That's a hard question to
it's
ask.
a very hard question, and I ask that question all the time. Like, if I'm choosing this life, then that's only how much I earn. And am I okay with it? Is it enough? I have to say a lot of times it's not enough because you are
not gonna
spending
be-
a lot of time making something that, of course, you will get profit, but it's not a fast fashion chain or like a business with a lot of a huge turnover rate. You understand?
Yeah.
So
You have to-
personally, how I balance it off is to get other areas of income elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah, which is why I have to do a lot of different things just so that I know this is enough to sustain me for a month. And that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you said about doing the second lap and doing this with a fresh set of eyes and like with all of your learnings in your bag, you know now that there's a certain price associated with something.
Yes,
And
yes.
I think that reality check, just
Yes,
knowing what
it's
you're going
a real
into.
world we are living in.
Yeah. That's a very, very good learning point, and how you're balancing creativity and freedom as well as discipline. Would you say that your family, like you mentioned your parents as entrepreneurs as well as business people, would you say that that's also shaped how you see business and how you see like discipline? Were they very like disciplined business people? Are they like role models for you?
Yes, definitely. And I would say in my family, we are very big on discipline.
Yeah.
Like my grandparents are very strict traditional Chinese. So we have to eat punctually on the dot at a certain time, and everyone has to be seated together to pick up the chopsticks.
Oh wow!
So that's how I grew up. It's
cultural. There's some cultural.
yeah.
influence as well.
So if I'm given a task, I would just close the door, shut myself out, and finish the task.
That's it.
I wouldn't even think about having fun. I would just want to finish the task and have fun later.
Right.
So
Right.
that's
where the discipline comes
yeah,
in.
it's just like it's embedded in me. If
Yeah.
I know there's more important work to do, I want to quickly finish the work so I can play later.
Don't procrastinate.
Yes, yeah.
Don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
Don't procrastinate. It's a good note for me too.
Yeah. And you have to constantly, I think, get motivated with your peers, the people that you have in your community. Because I have to say, if you're always kept alone, you will lose a lot of self-discipline also, because no one's watching. I can do anything I want, I can work anytime I want, but that will become very dangerous eventually, because then you will have this sense of like, oh, since no one's checking, so whatever. But no.
Yeah.
It's always good to go back into a community of people that you trust, and you help to uplift and motivate each other.
Yep.
So you get more supported.
Right.
And you don't feel like you're alone, you know.
So you have that sense of community, but also accountability, because people are kind of checking up and backing up, saying, hey, how are you going with?
And you
that's
know,
a good point.
it's just naturally you have conversation with people, you want to know what people are doing as well. So when you hear others doing well or very well disciplined, it's just a motivation on its own.
For
She
you
doesn't
to
need
stay.
to say anything. Just by telling me like, oh, what you've done in the past, say 5 months, if I am impressed, I get motivated. That's just a natural way of life. And I think that's very important.
I like that, to have that circle of accountability and
Yeah.
community.
Surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, so in between all of that's happening, you know, the YESAH studio and so on, what's next for you? What's next for the Linda Howe brand?
I think
on the
what
journey
I'm
of
doing now
evolution.
is really is going all round, because I know I've been quite greedy in terms of creativity. Like I want to do this, everything, music, art. And there was one point that the reality of life really hit me and made me think, okay, maybe I just got to do a 9-to-5 job just to make myself like sustainable. But thank God I didn't, because if I did, I think I would have like killed my soul or something. And I'm glad that I'm doing it now and still fighting for this kind of freedom lifestyle, because at the end of every creation, it's so satisfying and it's honoring, and it's also something to be shared with people. It's not a job that you just do on your own. After you complete that job, you are actually sharing it with people. And that reward to me is the best kind of reward. I feel like it's a meaningful kind of job, because I made a certain type of impression or impact into people's life.
Others.
Yeah, with the skill set that I have. So moving forward, I think it's just more motivation and just keep on going at it. Like this year, to me, it's a year of really just going at it. Like whatever ideas that I have that I felt rejected before, I didn't dare to try. Now it's the
yes.
So
Keep
now
saying yes.
it's the time to just go for it.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll
Love
just
that.
keep going for it.
Love that energy and that positivity. I think that's so important, whether or not someone is starting up a business or as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Okay, I think very, very good sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up with one final question.
Okay.
So, Freedom Founders, Linda Howe, what is freedom to you?
I think freedom ultimately to me is having the space to be able to do what you wish. And it also comes with a set of responsibilities to be able to really complete what you wish for that moment that you think you have freedom, but you might be tied down to like realistic life chores, for example, and you have to face the consequence as well. You don't just have the freedom to do everything and neglect everything else. That's not real freedom to me. The real freedom is more on a wholesome level where you know you have the space to think, to create, to do whatever that you wish for, and you want to make it, you want to have good results after that. Yeah. Responsibility as well.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you. Very good sharing. Very, very good insights for an entrepreneur or business person. If you like the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, send us some love, and look out for what's coming up with YESAH Studio.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.